most of this video is going to be about the other MR2, but this one is always priority while I've got things to do. So first of all, some things on this. Firstly, it's got drive shafts, swanky Thomas made ones. These are the latest development hybrid shafts, and basically he's given to me again to see if I can break them. I'm pretty sure this time I won't be able to, but that is, you know, I test things to destruction, and if anyone's going to break them, I will. But I think this time these ain't going anywhere, because yeah, I mean, these motherfuckers are beefy. These are basically the solid Volkswagen Audi shafts that people use on mega power drag cars without a problem, and the outer section is much beefier than the standard MR2 ones, and I think overall these ain't going nowhere. But yeah, he did them for me today. I just need to bolt them up. But you know what the thing I like about the best about these ones is? I don't have to remove or unbolt any of the suspension to get them in. Literally, you put them at that end first, slip them into there, and there's enough room there without the CVs being overextended. He's basically got it so at normal extension, normal ride height, whatever, the CVs are in their middle position, which is where you want them to be. But unlike the other ones, which were a bit too long, where I had to undo the suspension to get the fuckers in, these ones, both sides as well, straight in, which is fucking beautiful for fitting and removing shafts, although I might never need to now. Anyone who's watched previous videos will know I've been trying to decide what I wanted to do about fitment for intercooler, charge cooler, whatever. And the plan was, well, as you know, with that car's got the charge cooler inside the car, and that's great, works great, but it's quite complex because obviously the pipes have to go in the car and then back again. But it's not really that, it just takes up a lot of room inside the car, and I have to run water lines through the cabin to the front where the pump and all the other stuff is, and you know, it's relatively complicated. I don't like, well, it's not too bad, I must admit, it's not too bad. It's a lot simpler than and easier to work on than if it was in the engine bay, like most of them. That's the main thing, that's why I pull it there. Not just, obviously heat soak's a thing, but with all my cars, because it's I do them myself, it's not like I'm paying some cunt to work on them. I want them to be easy enough to work on, because cars are horrible otherwise. And so yeah, that's why the charge cooler was in there. You know, heat soak's a bonus thing to not have, but you know, with a charge cooler in the bay, yeah, I'd rather not. I'd rather have a more empty engine bay. But obviously now I've got this big XREF intercooler, and well, as soon as I remembered I found it, I might as well run the twin charge cooler too. That's a lot smaller than my old one. I was going to run this, and if this didn't cope, which it probably would, I was going to run water injection. But now I've got them both, I might just run both. The question was where? Like, my thought was, because I'm not going to have as much silencing, as not as big exhaust as that, I would have room in the back behind the bumper, because there is a ton of room behind there. And yeah, I would. There is room for all this, but it would make it packed again, and it's like, don't really want that. And people have often mentioned like the side pods, but you know, put them in the side pods, but it's like, if you've obviously never looked at an MR2 then, because these side pods, there's not enough room. People have mentioned, and I've even thought about, like, how RS200 Group B rally cars were, where it was a top mount intercooler, but that would take some massive fabrication to work, and it's just like, no. Or you could have a top mount, you know, literally, oh, bonnet shut, you know, under there with a scoop feeding it. That would sort of work. Not with that, but with a normal intercooler, yeah. But the one thing I've always had in mind, and I had in mind for this, I've had in mind for everything, and I've never done it, is something that, well, basically the only MR2 to win the Japanese GT300 race series, and there was lots of MR2s that's raced in that, but the only MR2 to ever win that ran this setup. So it works, and it actually ran this setup. It was a Mark II MR2, but unlike most, rather than the turbo at the back like on a normal MR2, the turbo was, well, the front, sorry, you know, front of the engine bay, the turbo was actually in the back here, in what would normally be the luggage compartment on a Mark II MR2. Momo Course Mark II MR2, the red one, awesome one. It was in like the early Gran Turismo games and stuff, because it was like GT300 champion. It's something I've always wanted to do, and it clearly works because it worked on that car, and that was the only one like it, and all the other cars who entered didn't win. Is run a front mount, you know, turbo there, intercooler there. I've always said a million times over that boost pipe length don't actually make a huge difference like people think. Yeah, in theory, yeah. In reality, if you've experienced it, no. 99% of people who say, oh, I fitted a front mount and now my car's more laggy, it's like, yeah, because you've got like 500 fucking boost leaks and you don't realise it. I mean, I've done it loads of times on cars. Like, I'm on cars with gone to really long boost pipe lengths. Like my old Impreza drift car, obviously as standard, it's got a top mount, inlet manifold there, turbo there. The boost piping is the shortest you can imagine as standard on an Impreza. But conversely, when you go to front mount, it becomes the longest you've ever seen, because it starts there, goes right the way around the outside, down the front, big front mount, right the way around the outside to the back, and there again, it's ridiculously long. Probably practically as long as it would be making a front mount for this. And did it make it noticeably more laggy, less responsive, whatever? Did it? Fuck. And that ain't the, you know, and we did it when I was at Redline. We had a Impreza STI Hawkeye we used to use as a test car, and it was exactly the same on that. We fitted a front mount for a test, and it made it feel way more responsive, not less, because although the boost pipe length was longer, the charge temps were always lower, so it felt more punchy anyway. But, you know, people say a lot of things. I don't give a fuck. I just go by my own experiences and proof. And the fact is, my experiences say it don't matter that much. And I also proof that this works because, like I said, that Momo MR2 did it. What that did was it had the boost pipes down the center console way. But after putting the seat in the correct position, and bearing in mind, because of the power level this is going to be, I'm only going to run 50mm boost pipes. So this is 50mm boost pipe. There is plenty of room. Sparkle, carbon, fancy. But yeah, there's tons of room for basically it'd be one on top of each other. And then I'll make 2 holes in the bulkhead, just the same as I did with the lines for the charge cooler, which on that car, the charge cooler's there and the actual water lines run the same way. And they're like 30 something mil diameter anyway. So not much different. And yeah, I would run it then 2 holes, you know, there somewhere. And job done. So the question is there room behind the front bumper for any worthwhile intercooler? I mean, you could fit a gigantic charge cooler there if you wanted to, But to be fair, you could fit a gigantic charge cooler behind the seats, because that's what I've done on that. You could fit an even bigger one here, but yeah, I don't think it's worth the extra effort. But a front mount, maybe. Let me take the bumper off and we can have a look. Oh, hang on a minute. What have we here? Oh, that's a massive Skyline GTR drag intercooler, 5 inches thick, and it fits behind the standard front bumper with a little bit of trimming. Guess that's the answer then. So yeah, in reality, I took off the front bumper to see how much room there was before I'd filmed anything. And I removed the front crash bar and I thought, hang on a minute, there's quite a lot of room. So I went upstairs and had a look for some intercoolers I've got. And I thought maybe the 600, you know, the typical 600, 300, 75mm core one. And I thought maybe this drag one. And basically, this Skyline drag intercooler, which is like 5 inches thick, I don't know how wide, but wide, fits fucking perfectly. It fits better than the 600 by 300 because that one's a little bit taller, only slightly, but this is sort of the limit of the height. But also the pipes even go the right way. There's basically room for the pipes to go back through. And yeah, as you just saw, that fits nicely behind the trimmed standard bumper. So yeah, decision made. Fuckers having a front mount. Let's go and have a big front mount too. That means those RAF charge cooler and intercooler parts that I've bought, I'm still not fucking using. But that don't matter because I buy these parts because I know they'll be handy one day. So, but this, again, this has cost me nothing because I had it upstairs. So, fucking ideal. Can't wait even more now. It's crazy because obviously this one is going to be way more power, hundreds of horsepower more, maybe 200 horsepower more or something. But this is just an insane straight line weapon to destroy stuff with. This thing, it's only going to be maybe 350 horsepower, which is still ridiculous fast in something that weighs sub 900 kilos. But it's mostly about fun, and this thing I think is going to be mega fun. Like, that's what I'm building it for, to be a laugh, to be just an enjoyable, fun, crazy drive. And I think this is going to be it, you know, in sounds, in just the way it's going to drive. Yeah, I'm excited for this thing, to be fair. More so than this, even though this is going to be like the fucking fastest thing going. Well, not the fastest thing going, but ridiculous. This thing will be more of a laugh, I'm sure. But they both do different jobs, and that's why I've got them both. Because not one of these cars will do all the things I want, but both of them together will. And also, when one's no doubt broken, hopefully the other's on the road. So I'm not in one of the situations which I hate, which is most of my fucking life, where I'm fixing or modifying a car so I haven't got a fun car to drive. But with these, I got a spare. And that's the beauty of, you know, me. This is why I like to not spend a lot of money on cars, you know, why I'm all about bang for your buck. Because that means I can afford two of them. I was talking to Thomas earlier about intercoolers and stuff, and obviously I'm running the front mount on that thing. But we was on about the Techno Pro Spirit Toyota MRS, the Japanese time attack car, really fast, like really fast for its power or lack of. And that's basically because these things do handle fucking good and don't weigh that much. And that one's only like 400 horsepower and not super light, but it's like a 57-second lap of Tsukuba. And, you know, anyone that knows that knows that's rapid for what it is. And what it's got is a rear mount radiator with basically like this. It's got a scoop on the back, just a small one, and then the rear mount radiator there, because that's all you really need when the intercooler's there. And I said to Thomas, I was like, you could probably just get a Subaru one and make it smaller. And then I remembered I had one upstairs, like a fiberglass copy Subaru scoop, and it turned out it kind of matched the lines of the indent of the engine cover quite well. So yeah, I cut it in half and then cut bits off each side until it was about the right width, and then just stopped and taped it together just so I could show Thomas. And for what his goals were, that would do the job, I reckon. Don't actually look too bad, considering that's not painted and just plopped on so it doesn't match. It's not bad at all, really. I'm quite, you know, I got no problem with that. Obviously on mine it's no use because I've got a front mount intercooler, but for a normal typical rear mount, that sort of thing, wow, like I said, the Techno Pro Spirit car runs basically exactly the same thing, and that's ridiculously fast. I think it's probably the fastest MRS normal car, apart from, you know, GT300 race cars, that there is. So yeah, I'll show him tomorrow, see what he thinks. To be honest, I'm pretty sure my air filter's still going to be in the engine bay somewhere, so I might run something like this for the air filter to sit in. But, you know, we'll see. I didn't do this for me, I just did it because of what Thomas was on about. I'll go from there, because obviously you got air in there and air out there. And the intercooler does sit far back. It sits sort of in this line, so it's a very effective setup. And honestly, considering that's not painted and not fitted, it doesn't look too ridiculous, all things considered. But hey, whatever. Anyway, that's enough for this video. I think there's plenty of you know, content. No point waffling on for nothing. So yeah, I hope you like this one, and I will see you next time, which will hopefully only be a few days away, I reckon. What's coming next, I don't know. Depends when things arrive. Because obviously the only thing holding this back from being driven, apart from me bleeding the clutch, which I'll just do tomorrow, but that's not film worthy, that's not YouTube video worthy, is that rear mount. But I've got the bits on order, so, you know, hopefully late this week, early next week, that'll be done, and then we're good to go. As long as nothing else goes wrong, then it would finally be time to get the fucking thing actually mapped. So yeah, looking forward to that shit. Anyway, see you later.